We need to talk about the Gabby Petito case. A 22-year-old girl has gone missing after months of traveling with her fiancé. After weeks of no contact with her family, they became worried, and their fear only grew when her fiancé Brian came home without her. This man was with his fiancée in the wilderness, traveling the country for months. Now he's home and Gabby is nowhere to be found. Something isn't adding up, so let's get into it. So Gabby Petito and her fiancé Brian Laundrie were traveling the country in their 2012 Ford Transit. They were documenting their experiences on Instagram and YouTube, but everything changed when Gabby went missing. So here's a map of where Gabby has been and where she was going. And it looks like the last place that she was seen was Grand Teton National Park. That was on August 24th, and she was seen checking out of a hotel with her fiancé Brian. Gabby's mother told reporters that the last time she spoke to Gabby was either on August 23rd or 24th through FaceTime, and then Gabby's last Instagram post was made on August 25th. Gabby's mother did receive a text from Gabby on the 27th and the 30th of August, but we're not really sure if that was Gabby actually texting her mother. So the couple were together for 2 years and living in Florida before they went on their cross-country adventure. But their travels came to an end when Brian returned back to Florida without Gabby. I feel so bad for the family because this is a nightmare. Gabby was posting all over Instagram, keeping a record of her travels. They actually just created a YouTube channel on August 19th and posted one video to their channel before she disappeared, which again is very concerning because she was consistently posting on social media and then she just ghosted everyone. Well, on September 11th, Gabby's mother escalated the situation and reported her daughter as a missing person, claiming the last time she spoke to her was on August 24th through FaceTime. And what's interesting about this story is that there's a lot of layers to what's happened here because Brian and Gabby weren't always happy. Actually, there was an incident on August 12th where the couple got physical with each other and police were called. The police described this situation as a mental health crisis because supposedly Gabby struck Brian in an argument. The police pull over the couple and their van because her and Brian was driving 45 miles per hour in a 15 mile per hour zone. The officer found Gabby crying in the passenger seat and he could tell that she was distraught. And even though Gabby did technically get physical, they didn't go and charge her for that because they recognized that this was a mental health crisis. But if you look at the police reports, it's interesting to see how the officer describes their relationship because he claims that they are in love, they are engaged to get married, and he didn't want to see anyone charged with a crime over this little argument. The officers may have seen this as a little domestic dispute, but it's way more serious when you look at the grand scheme of everything because actually it looks like their fight started because they were arguing and Brian told her to get out of the car, out of the van. He closed the doors and tried to lock her out and leave her there, which is really scary because it kind of seems like that's what could have happened to Gabby. Like, what if he just dropped her off in the middle of nowhere and left her? There are animals out there. There are things that could be trying to get her. I mean, and that's if he let her go, like, alive. But here's a snippet of the police report which describes the incident that went down. I'm going to read this snippet right here. The male tried to create distance by telling Gabby to go take a walk and calm down. She didn't want to be separated from the man and began slapping him. He grabbed her face and pushed her back as she pressed upon him and the van. He tried to lock her out and succeeded, except for his driver's door. She opened that and forced her way over him and into the vehicle before it drove off. No one reported that the male struck the female. Both the male and the female reported that they are in love and engaged to be married and desperately didn't want to see anyone charged with a crime. There has also been body cam footage that has been released from this incident, and I'm going to play a snippet of that right now.
Sorry, officer.
You want to place your vehicle in the park and go ahead and turn it off for me?
Yeah.
No, park?
Oh, it isn't parked yet.
Okay, turn off your engine. Go ahead and set your keys on the dash for me, alright? For me, man.
Yeah.
Just hang tight right there. Do you mind if I take your keys and just put them on your hood?
You got it, buddy. I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you. Oh, no, you're fine. I'm gonna go ahead and close your door. Okay? Why don't you come over here?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days I have really bad OCD, and I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean, because sometimes I have OCD and sometimes I just get really frustrated. Not like mean towards him. I guess my vibe is like I am like in a bad mood. And I was just saying, I'm sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I've just been really stressed. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning.
Because of your OCD?
Told me I needed to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time. And he really stresses me out. And this is a rough morning.
Now that we've looked at that August 12th incident, I think that has given us some clues to what could have been going on in that van. Obviously, the couple wasn't too happy, and it ended up with Brian leaving Gabby somewhere and returning home without her. But something odd happened on social media the other day because for some reason, Gabby's Instagram page was removed for like 4 hours. This happened on Wednesday the 15th, and pretty much, I guess, Instagram took down her account from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. They were trying to remove fake accounts, but accidentally removed hers, which I think that's really weird. I've never heard of Instagram randomly removing an account and then even giving it back. Like, who has contacts to Instagram? So this was very weird. But back to Gabby's relationship, because like I've said, they are engaged to get married. But it looks like Gabby's mother revealed that the couple actually called off their engagement prior to their trip. Gabby's mother claims that they called off the engagement because they were just too young and they were moving too fast and they were gonna hold off until they're a little bit older. But this entire situation is so incredibly devastating, and everyone is doing anything in their power to try to locate Gabby. Supposedly, her stepfather and a friend is traveling to Wyoming to try to look for her. They believe the last place she could have been would be Grand Teton National Park, so somewhere around there. But of course, the family is pissed at Brian right now because this man took their daughter across country in her van. That's actually Gabby's van that he was driving, and now he returns back without her and he's got nothing to say. Gabby's family released this statement. Brian claims that he wants to sit in the background while we search for Gabby in the wilderness. Brian left Gabby in the wilderness with grizzly bears and wolves while he sits in the comfort of his home. Brian, your silence is reprehensible. We beg you to do the right thing and help us bring Gabby home. Brian, whatever happened in Wyoming happened. The only thing you can control is what you do now. Tell us where Gabby is. You tarnish your love for her with your silence. Well, it looks like Brian has made a statement through his lawyer in response to Gabby's family. Pretty much, his lawyer is trying to argue that the partner of a missing person is always the first suspect, and we can't just act like Brian is guilty here because we don't know what's happened. He also made it clear that Brian will not be speaking about this situation at all. He will continue to remain silent on the advice of counsel. And as you guys know, Brian is listed as a person of interest. A suspect and a person of interest are completely different because a suspect is someone who you think committed the crime, but police are just categorizing him as a person of interest, someone who would know something about the crime. And I'm sure he does know something because even those text messages on August 27th and the 30th that Gabby supposedly sent to her mother doesn't even believe that Gabby texted those. She believes that maybe Brian sent those text messages. The message sent on August 30th said, "No service in Yosemite." And Gabby's mother told the press that that text was not from Gabby, I know it, which is so daunting. This situation sounds like a movie, a scary movie that the family just wants to end. The family does currently have a GoFundMe, which I will link below, and it looks like they have a goal of $50,000 to help find Gabby. As for Brian, it looks like the police have the van that they were driving in, and it looks awfully clean as well. To be driving across country from up here in the United States all the way down to Florida, that van is awfully clean, which makes me think that this man did some detail work or something, and he's got something to hide. There are a bunch of press outside of Brian's home, and it looks like they are not going to let him off easy. This story has become mainstream news, and it's time that we get justice for Gabby, because this could happen to anyone. You guys see people on TikTok all the time doing cross-country trips and living in their vans and stuff, and it's really scary to think that someone that you would love, like, you know, Gabby would love Brian, her fiance, would do something like this to her. What type of argument did they get into that pushed him so far that he would kick her out of the van and send her off into the wilderness? Or was it worse? Was it something physical where he already harmed her, maybe took her life before getting rid of the body and heading back home? Honestly, I'm expecting the worst in this situation, but I'm praying for the best, because Gabby doesn't deserve this and her family doesn't either. You guys know, like I mentioned earlier, her stepfather was out there trying to search in Wyoming for her, and I believe that the search is going to continue to grow until either Gabby is recovered or a body is found. Nonetheless, Brian is wrong here, and there's something really sick about this situation. So I want you guys to comment below what you think. There have been so many updates, it's hard to keep track. Like, for example, the police chief went to Good Morning America and told them 2 people went on a trip and 1 person returned. And that person is not talking to us. He's got all the answers. My number 1 question is, where's Gabby? So the search for the truth will continue, and I hope that Brian is held accountable, and I believe by the time this video is out, for at least a day or so, he's going to be a suspect instead of a person of interest. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in a new one soon. Bye, guys.